In other news, a controversial compromise now reached between the Israeli government and residents of the illegal West Bank outpost of Evyatar. The outpost's residents agreeing to vacate, and the coalition in turn agreeing not to demolish the present structures and to instead immediately build a new yeshiva. And in the meantime, the IDF will use the site as a makeshift military base, and the government will meet to reconsider the outpost's legal status, meaning that in the near future, the settlement of Evyatar may be legitimized. Of course, not everyone is very pleased about the so-called compromise, and here to discuss is political commentator Tammi Molad Hayo and Jeremy Saltan, political strategist and director of English operations for Prime Minister Bennett's Yamina party. Thank you both so much for being with us. Tammi, I'm going to begin with you. I know that residents of Evyatar overwhelmingly agreed to this measure, as did Defense Minister Gantz and Prime Minister Bennett and several other top officials. What do you think?
I think it's outrageous. Of course, they agreed. There's no compromise here. At the end of the day, this illegal settlement is staying in its place, and the Israeli government is actually giving it an okay to go stamp, which is unbelievable. It's the same government, by the way, the same politicians who are always complaining about how they cannot govern because nobody listens to the law, and it's always about the courts. Well, there is a law, and even if you are a Jewish settler and a religious Jewish settler, you should follow the law.
Jeremy, very similarly, Joint List Knesset member Aida Thomas Sliman says that the deal legitimizes settler crimes. You disagree?
Well, I disagree because I don't think that it's a crime to settle in Judea and Samaria. Look, we're in a situation in which we inherited a very unique situation, unlike other usual situations we see when it comes to outposts. We're talking, of course, about a situation here in Evyatar where Netanyahu actually evacuated the settlement twice before, even forcefully. And he decided on purpose in this case to stop from what the president's was before that, which was to remove any outpost that comes up within the first night or maximum within 48 hours. And just let this become a situation where you would have what we have now, which is practically over 1,000 settlers that are right now living in Evyatar, and just go ahead and leave that for the Bennett government to try to clean up, if you will, and put us in a situation where either on one side we end up disappointing some of our coalition partners, such as people within Mansour Abbas's party, or various aspects, of course, within the opposition, such as the Joint List MK that you mentioned there at the outset, or various NGO activists, such as, of course, Tammi. But we have a situation where we have to go ahead and act responsibly. I think it's something that most people can understand, that the last thing that we want to go ahead and see is a repeat of previous situations where you had large numbers of settlers living in an area, and the sight of horses and people going around with baseball bats, and situations where even MKs who have, of course, parliamentary immunity ending up in very unfortunate situations. So, when you have lemons, you make lemonade. Everything that was agreed upon is something that was done through law. I can tell you that everything has been checked. There are a few loose ends that we're still dealing with, of course, but this is something that everyone feels comfortable with, including Defense Minister Gantz, who, of course, is not exactly the champion for the settlement enterprise.
Right, well, Tammi, I want to give you a moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no,
It's not about settlers, Judea and Samaria. It's not about Palestinians. It's about the rule of law. In Israel, it seems like the rule of law works only when it's convenient, and whomever is in power, if it works for them, then okay, there are laws and there's a law and order, and if not, not. Well, it's not allowed to build against the law. It's not allowed to build a settlement against the law, whether it's in Judea and Samaria, whether it's in Tel Aviv, it doesn't really matter. On top of all of that, there's also the question of Palestinians, the private lands, the statute of international law and the rest of it. But that's not really the question here, Jeremy. The question is whether or not this government is going to follow the Israeli law, which, there are members of
This
Knesset.
government is.
This is the law. The law says that if you want to build the settlement,
I'm sorry,
you have to
Tammi.
do it
Jeremy,
according to the law.
does this
You're
decision
asking me a
give tacit
question.
approval? Does this decision, in your opinion, give tacit approval to others to follow Evyatar's suit and to build illegally in lands that they argue is available?
Of course it does. It
disagree.
means that you can do whatever you want and then you negotiate with the government. It can't work this way. It can't work in Judea, Samaria. It can't work in Tel Aviv. It can't work in Haifa. It can't work anywhere. Either we have laws or we don't have law. You can't do whatever you want just because you believe you're right.
Jeremy,
if you're right, well, the settlers, they have Naftali Bennett as prime minister now. Well, go for it. Pass a law. But as long as it is a settlement against the law, they should all leave yesterday.
All right, Jeremy, final comments.
I can tell you after speaking with, sure. Yesterday, I was briefed by the Prime Minister, the Interior Minister, and a lot of the other government officials that are dealing with this very sensitive issue. Everything that we are doing here is based and rooted in law. Anything we do will hold up within any Israeli court. And that is really a situation that needs to be understood. And if Tammi wants to talk about a legal settlement, we can talk about the illegal building of course, the Palestinians throughout Area C, and the fact that we haven't exactly seen our government go ahead and rush to go ahead and evacuate those people either. I think there's an understanding that there are Jews living in Judea and Samaria, there are Arabs living in Judea and Samaria, and trying to go ahead and expect to have a different type of treatment is not something that is going to work out. And if you want, we can just go ahead and just knock everything down, Tammi. And then, of course, if we do that, I'm sure you're well aware also within Tel Aviv, the amount of illegal buildings that there are, we'll spend quite a few weeks just going through the entire country. We have an issue when it comes to the planning and building laws with the regulation laws. This is not a new story. And unfortunately, you do have situations where you have to regulate things after the fact. Right. And it's I think
we have a headline here, Aaron. We have a headline
that it's difficult to expect that there's a difference between taking down 5 tents overnight and going ahead and forcefully evacuating 1,000 people. Right. And if you want to go ahead and live in a reality in which everything is simple, so that's fine for you. But what it comes down to is the government has to look at the actual situation that's on the ground and the reality. And you can thank the outgoing government for deciding to throw this hot potato to us.
Well,
I know that you weren't a big fan of that government.
A very big headline saying that this government will work according to what is convenient.
You have to make the tough decision, and everything we're doing is according to law.
All right, Jeremy Saltan with the Yamina Party, Tammi Molad Hayo, thank you both so much for your insights.
Thank you.